Hello everyone and welcome to PeepSo Engineering Update. My name is Matt and I'm a co-founder and chief technology officer at peepso.com. This live video will cover our latest major release, PeepSo 3.4. We have added some cool new features and changed the system requirements one last time for a while, so it's quite important to be aware of what the changes are. Let's dive right in. First off, requirements and compatibility. We have bumped the required PHP version again, and now the required PHP version is 7.3. We still recommend PHP 7.4, despite being compatible with 8. We feel that the general WordPress environment is still not quite ready, and the general adoption rate for plugins is not good enough, so we wouldn't recommend PHP 8 just yet. Why PHP 7.3? First of all, it is now the oldest still supported version according to the php.net website, which means the older versions no longer receive security fixes. Some people will tell you yes, on some Linux versions the security fixes are still being backported, but in general I feel it's more responsible to raise the required PHP version to what is actually officially supported by the PHP team. And another added bonus for me myself as a programmer is that we can finally use syntax from PHP 7.3, which allows us to write more concise, cleaner code that is faster and easier to read. So for me personally, it's something that we should have done a while ago. We have delayed it to wait for the general adoption of PHP 7.3. Now is a sweet spot to do this. So from now on, we do require 7.3 and we still recommend 7.4. As for PHP 8, we will revisit our stance on it around the release of PeepSo 3.5. We will see how the WordPress and other plugins are handling PHP 8 around that time. Another thing that we have bumped is the required WordPress version. From now on, we require WordPress 5.5, and we recommend WordPress 5.7. As usual, we are already working on compatibility with future versions. That is always true for WordPress and PHP. Currently, WordPress 5.8 is in beta 1. It is due in July, as you can see on the release schedule on WordPress.org. 5.8 release date is July 20. And as always, we are preparing our product ahead of schedule, testing everything with the beta and release candidates and so on to make sure that everything is compatible as much as possible the day the things are released. And now let's move on to features and changes in the product. We have changed the way the user blocking works in PeepSo a little bit, meaning you can now turn it off and on. Why did we do that? The reason is that user blocks generate something called database joins, which means when you are pulling any kind of content, let's be it on a stream or looking at someone's photos or someone's profile and so on, you do have to check if that person is not blocked by the person who is watching, or the other way around, if the person that is watching hasn't been blocked by the owner of the content. It might be a good feature to have, user blocking, but those checks are slowing things down because they are very user specific and they cannot be cached in any way. So in order to improve performance, we have disabled user blocking by default, and for architectural reasons that switch is off the moment you upgrade to PeepSo 3.4. There will be a warning in the backend saying user blocking is now disabled, please click here to turn it back on. To turn it back on, you have to head to Configuration Advanced, and in the performance box, here you can see user blocking. So if you do wish to use user blocking, you do have to go in there and turn it back on. And if you don't wish to use user blocking, it's perfectly fine. It is now off by default. So that's about it. If I were to give you a recommendation, unless you really need it, don't turn it on, because first of all, you may want to strive for a more inclusive community where people actually do not hate each other enough to block each other. And also, if you have a larger website and you have users that are very active in the blocking topic. In if they block 1,000 users or so on, it might affect the performance of your website. All right, let's see. Gecko. We have done a few interesting things with Gecko recently. One of them is scrollable sidebars. It's a feature that is currently in beta, which can be turned on in theme settings under sidebars here. So we've already had something called sticky sidebars, which meant when you scrolled the content, the sidebars would stay. And this is like, this builds on that idea, and it not only disconnects the sidebars from scrolling the main content, but it also allows you to actually scroll the sidebar itself. So like in my case, I have a very long left and right sidebar. I can scroll them separately from the content, which might be a pretty cool feature for someone who has a lot of stuff in the sidebars for some reason. So here I just had to put a very long text in order to demonstrate how this works. So now the left, middle, and right columns can scroll independently. There might be still some issues, so that's why we put it in beta, and we will be improving it based on customer feedback as we go. I guess in a few more releases it will be polished up. Another thing in Gecko is we have enabled an option to put the tagline next to the logo. Let me show you how it looks. You can control this to work on mobile as well if you have enough space. This is just something a few people have asked about, and we saw no reason not to do it. I mean, the tagline is there for a reason. It's a standard WordPress feature, so we decided definitely that it needs to be there. All right. What else? Something that I cannot demonstrate here, so I will just talk about it, is builder compatibility and more page options. In general, we are constantly looking into how Gecko and PeepSo play together with the popular page builders. Some of them have been brought to our attention, and we have fixed some minor issues. So in general, we are not aware of any major issues with any builder plugins or themes out there. Gecko introduces something called the builder-friendly page template. A builder-friendly page template doesn't contain any of our default styling on the page content itself. It doesn't use the featured image and title, which means it gives you a completely blank canvas in which you can put your builder content and without any interference from our styles, containers, and so on and so on and so on. We have also added some Gecko page options to easy digital downloads products options, and we have added these options as well, or improved them for the default WordPress search page. Another that one is a pretty important improvement, and that one has been done based on a lot of customer feedback who are dealing with some sort of either toxic or spammy users, and they're trying to get them out of their community, and they utilize the PeepSo ban system for that. So banned users are not allowed to log back in. That's the theory, right? Like the banned user cannot get back in, he cannot generate any content, and so on and so on. So this is how it used to work until now. But when you banned a user in PeepSo, he wasn't immediately kicked out of the website. Instead, he would have to end up on a PeepSo piece of content so that the PeepSo logic would kick in and kick him out. So that could lead to some interesting situations where a banned user was still logged in and, for example, was able to send messages or something like that. So based on that feedback, we decided we need something much more aggressive. So from now on, when you ban a user, PeepSo will attempt to destroy all his sessions, meaning that those users are expected to be logged out from every device immediately the moment you ban them. And the ban engine will watch the login process instead of user activity, which means if a user is banned, he will not be allowed to log back in instead of being allowed to log back in and then getting logged out because he has been banned. That we implemented that in the non-PeepSo logins as well. So we hook right into the login event and we prevent it. So bottom line is, banning in PeepSo is now much more aggressive. It immediately kicks the offender out of the website and it keeps him out until you unban him or until his ban expires. And that is a major improvement. Another major improvement is how PeepSo handles WordPress embeds. Let's clean this up a little. So here's the deal. The embeds inside PeepSo streams are provided by WordPress itself, right? We are using WordPress as a framework, and the links and blog posts and products and other things that are embedded inside the stream in this little box, this is actually a WordPress feature. We as developers have very little control over how it works, although we have managed to find some ways around it recently. So the problem is that every WordPress install has different thumbnail sizes defined for their content, depending on the theme they're using, the plugins, and so on and so on. For example, WooCommerce has its own thumbnail sizes for different things. Maybe you have installed a custom plugin that will customize the thumbnail sizes for whatever reason. So the problem might be where WordPress decides that when embedding a piece of content inside a PeepSo stream, WordPress says, hey, let's use a medium or a small thumbnail. And it's quite annoying because the content looks a little blurry, the image is not very sharp. So what we try to do with this feature, which is put in configuration stream posts all the way down to WordPress embeds right here. It's called a preferred thumbnail size because we will attempt to convince WordPress to use a certain size of a thumbnail or bigger, whichever is available, in PeepSo context only. So we will not be affecting embeds anywhere else outside of the PeepSo stream. In our tests, this feature works pretty well. Like, we're very happy with it. It definitely improves the visuals on the stream. There might be some drawbacks if you choose a really large thumbnail. Like 1,500 or larger are quite extreme. But if you have a really good server and you have tons of bandwidth and so on, then I wouldn't worry too much. Otherwise, I would go somewhere around 1,000. Should be fine. It also depends how wide the column is in your website. Does it go all the way across the screen? How big are your sidebars, and so on and so on? So this is a very personal thing depending on your website. We went with an extreme default 1500 pixels, and we gave you a bunch of options to control it. Another feature that people asked about quite a bit is the ability to preview passwords. We have implemented that in PeepSo 3.4. It is embedded inside configuration, accounts, and security. In the security box all the way down, you can see allow password preview. It's a feature that WordPress had already, and it just wasn't working inside the PeepSo forms. So let me show you here. Let's see. This is my website. I'm logged out here, and this would be the password field. As you can see, the feature is now enabled. So I can see what have I typed in here. And similarly here, when I'm registering, I can see, okay, what are the password here? Okay, I didn't type it right. That's why, right? That's the bottom line. So the idea is to allow the user to see what he has just typed. This is not a security concern of any kind, because this will not show to the user a password that has been stored in the database. Those are completely encrypted in the database, and they're irretrievable. But if the user has issues logging in, the brute force protection is nagging that, hey, you have tried too many times. This will allow them to make sure that what they are typing is actually their password. So it's a minor improvement, I would say, in terms of the amount of work that we have to put in here, but it might be a major quality of life improvement for your users, especially if you require them to have very complicated passwords, if they are not using their own device with a password manager, and so on and so on. That we have introduced a new field type, and it's something that we will need for a later development. Let's see, manage. It's a Boolean field type, which means it only approves two options, yes or no. That's about it. So let's say you in the previous versions, if you just wanted to have a question that is a simple question, and you only wanted two options, yes and no, you had to do it manually, like I'm doing now, right? And that's fair enough. The problem is when you're a programmer, it's kind of hard to say which one is the positive and which one is the negative. And that is something that we might need for certain things. Think of this field as a checkbox. So we need to be sure in the code which is the positive and the negative answer. So what we have done is we implemented a new field type called select yes no. This one comes with two options, yes and no. You cannot add or remove the options. We know in the code which one is positive and which one is negative, but you can still change the labels to whatever you want or translate them and so on. But no matter what you put in here, our system will know that those are yes or no, which will make it easier for us to implement some future features based on those fields. Another thing is GIF autoplay, and it's something that people have asked for quite a lot. GIF autoplay applies only to GIFs that have been uploaded by your users, and it's off by default. And it's a very good improvement at a very small negligible performance cost. So let's see, how does this look? All right, here's a GIF that I uploaded, and this is the old way, so meaning that the user has to click to play it. And here, let's turn on autoplay GIFs, refresh, and there you go. The GIF plays immediately. And that's about it. That's the whole magic here. All you have to do is turn on this option, and the GIFs will be automatically animated. It puts things more in line together, because the Giphy animations are playing automatically and the uploads were not playing automatically. It led to a confusing user experience. And this is again something that has been requested a lot, and we could no longer delay, and we finally pushed and got it done, and we're very happy with it. And last but not least, this is something that is not configurable, so there is nothing I can show you. We have implemented a small sound in the chat plugin. Whenever you receive a new message, it will play a sound. For now, there are no configuration options for it, neither for the admin or for the user. And that's about it. So this is also something that has been requested for quite a bit, and we decided to finally push it. All right, let's see. This is the summary of what we have just covered. So we have new system requirements. PHP 7.3 is the minimum version. WordPress 5.5 is the minimum version. And the recommended versions are 7.4 for PHP. And I have just typed the same thing twice. And WordPress 5.7, not PHP 5.7. Sorry about that. The user blocking is now disabled by default, which means if you wish to keep it, you have to go in there and turn it back on. I have explained why that is, but in general, all you have to remember is this is for performance. Gecko has introduced scrollable sidebars, ability to display the tagline next to logo, and we have some nice builder-friendly template that skips all the custom CSS containers and so on, provides you with a blank canvas so that you can safely use a builder within Gecko context without any interference from us. PeepSo now features a more aggressive banning engine, aggressive being the keyword. Users are getting kicked out immediately from every device when you ban them, and they're unable to log in any way as long as the login interface they are using fires the proper WordPress filters and hooks when the login happens. Major improvement for WordPress embeds on PeepSo streams with configurable thumb resolution defaulted to 1500 pixels to ensure that WordPress cannot choose, or at least has a harder time choosing, a low resolution thumbnail when embedding something inside a PeepSo stream. We added password previews, allowing the users to check what they have typed during registration or login, giving them a more smooth user experience. We introduced a yes or and no field type, which is a narrower version of a single select field, which makes it easier for developers to programmatically understand whether the user chose the positive or the negative option on that field. We added optional GIF autoplay on uploads, and we have added a chat sound. So I believe that covers it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it didn't end up being too long, but this is a major version, so there was quite a bit to talk about. Thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoy PeepSo 3.4 as much as we enjoyed building and testing and releasing it. I think that that it's a great version, and I'm very excited to make the same video for the next release, which will be PeepSo 3.5 and PeepSo 3.6, where we'll be introducing some exciting new stuff. Just to mention a few things, we are looking into a mobile application based on a company called Mobiloud, which are experts in embedding websites into mobile apps. We have been working with them for quite a few months now on building our own application, and we're building a plugin and a child team to work with that. It's very exciting. We are looking into an integration with a calendar plugin. We have a few on our table right now, but we haven't chosen which one it will be yet. We want a calendar plugin that has full front-end capabilities and will be easy to tie into our infrastructure. Yeah, and I think that's about it. Oh yes, we are also working on a new installer, but if you're an existing client, that doesn't change much for you. But the idea is to have a much smoother onboarding experience for new clients. So please stay tuned. Subscribe to our newsletter, follow us on YouTube, or join our community on peepso.com. Subscribe to the announcements group, whatever floats your boat, because we have some exciting new stuff coming very soon in the coming months, in the quarter, this quarter and next. We have big plans for PeepSo, and we are in no way taking any kind of break here. Thank you again for watching, for joining me here. Have a great day, and enjoy PeepSo and take care. Thank you so much.